yeah, it's gonna work just fine, I think. If this works, this is gonna be tip of the year. I'm a little gun shy after what I had happen here. That's really what the hardest part is. Pretty frustrating. I think the big question is here is, do I want to do it again? An automobile is much easier, honestly. I bet you're here because you want to do a 50-hour service on your Kioti CK2620 or a CK2610. Don't worry, this is not another how-to video on how to do this. There's guys that, you know, show draining every drop of oil out there. That's not what I'm going to talk about. What I'm going to talk about is what I'm putting in this tractor right here. This is all the stuff I've purchased. And I actually started collecting this stuff, a month and a half, maybe even 2 months ago. It proved to be fairly difficult to get everything that I wanted, especially this stuff right here. Walmart used to carry a MOBIL brand. It was labeled like tractor hydraulic fluid or whatever. From my understanding, this is the same exact stuff. I just waited too long and I was unable to purchase it. That's a darn shame because it was a good deal there. I ended up actually having to purchase this on Amazon, believe it or not. I live in a pretty small community and all of the local auto parts stores just have like house brand hydraulic fluids. Tractor Supply has their house brand and I just didn't want to deal with that. I'm putting in Rotella T4 and I'm using this as the gear lubricant for the front axle. I did purchase all the filters through my local Kioti dealership where I did purchase the tractor. Now there's a story behind that set of filters. Those proved to be fairly difficult to get as well. Being that I have a YouTube channel, I wanted to buy the nice Kioti filter box. You know, it's one SKU with everything you need for your tractor. I said, hey, I want to get this. I paid for it. They let me know that they would get it in, and then before I picked it up, I was going to have to pay whatever freight or shipping cost was associated with it. Some time passed, making other videos, just doing other stuff, you know, and I wasn't quite at 50 hours yet, but I was nearing it. I was like, man, I haven't heard anything from them. So I called them up. Come to find out, the filter box was on back order. I said, hey, that's fine. You know, they did some calling around. Kioti couldn't give them an answer of when they would be able to get it. The reason why I also wanted that filter kit was because buying the box all in one was a huge savings. I don't remember exactly what it was going to save me. Needless to say, I ended up just saying, hey, dealership, please, can you just build the kit up for me? And since they couldn't furnish the box, can you just build the kit for me out of your inventory? They were kind enough to discount their individuals to make up for that. So thank you very much. And I really hope that you've been doing what you're supposed to be doing when you purchase a tractor, and you should be checking your fluids regularly. I have, and I found that these front axles like to go low. It's because Kioti puts hydraulic fluid in them from the get-go. It's not thick enough, and I believe, well, at least I think it's not thick enough, and that's why it just seems to disappear. Because I don't have any flat land on my property, this is the best I could do. I went ahead and used this foot here, put it up on some blocks, same on the front. The hydraulic loader is not really it wasn't super easy to get those under there, believe it or not. I wanted to go a little bit higher with it. It just ran out of steam. Like I said, this is not going to be an exact how-to video, but I will film a little bit here and there so that way you can see what my process has been. I plan on changing all of the hydraulic fluid. It's not called on in the 50-hour service, but if you know anything and you've been reading anything, the hydraulic fluid they put in these seems to be pretty cruddy. I don't know if it's a cost thing or what, but it's noisy, and it just seems like it's for a break-in period more than it is long-term. So I chose to spend a little bit of money and get that nice mobile stuff. It's got great reviews. It's actually what is in the manual, if I recall correctly. And if you think there's extra here, there probably is. Now, it's not as much as you might think. There will be extra hydraulic fluid. The reason why is on Amazon, it didn't make sense to buy a 2.5 gallon jug of this. It was basically a better deal just to do this, especially if you operate equipment with like grapples and extra hydraulics. You're bound to get a hydraulic leak or rip a hose off or something at some point. And I might need some hydraulic fluid in a hurry, so I don't mind having, you know, 4 extra gallons of it around. I don't remember the quantities that goes in everything, but I can tell you it's a lot. I'm also not a seasoned mechanic, so I think this will be beneficial because a majority of tractor owners are people that, especially compact tractor owners, are people that maybe haven't purchased a tractor in a really long time, and maybe they've got that old Ford laying around that they've been hobbling along on. Great tractors, huh? Or there are people that are new to homesteading, or they just bought their first bit of property, they're from the city or whatever. And that kind of fits me because this is the largest amount of property I've ever lived on. We're on 12 acres here in Oklahoma. This tractor sits outside. We are just at we're at 54 hours. I would have been right on time, but the exception is that I just was unable to get those filters. This thing, I drove it down the road. It should be good and warm. I want to crack open all of the drain plugs on this axle here to get that started. It appears as if all the plugs have orange paint on them. So you got that one there to drain, and you got one on the bottom of, I don't know if they're called portal axles or whatever. There's one right under there as well. And these are supposed to be 14 millimeter. Would help if your drain pan is going the right direction. And I'm gonna actually grab my socket because I don't have enough leverage under here. All I had to do is get out from underneath the tractor and I was able to do it better. If you haven't added to your fluid, you're likely to have a much thinner experience than I do. Just opening this up for a little bit of air. I can definitely see a metallic sheen on the oil, which from my understanding is just fully to be expected. These are 17 millimeter drain plugs here. There's one on each side of the, we'll just call it the propeller shaft just because I've heard of something like that before. I've been carrying around this oil pan with me since I was a kid when I used to work on cars back in the day. Long threads. I probably shouldn't have done both at once. Made a little bit of a mess. You hear all sorts of horror stories about not being able to get filters off because they put the filters on the machine and then paint it. We're gonna find out how difficult it is. I purchased a couple different types. I had some like old metal strap ones that, you know, you had a little bit of room and then it would bind. I purchased a couple that I think might do better, I hope, and we're gonna find out right now. These are the two styles that I purchased off of Amazon, and boy, this one looks like it's been on a shelf for like 30 years or something. I actually want to try this style first. I think it's the cooler concept. This should be able to be used with a 1/2-inch drive ratchet. Yeah, see this right here? You can use it with a 3/8, but I have, for more leverage, a 1/2-inch drive right there. This is coming off no problem at all. Yeah, there's no problem with this wrench right here. And well, that's cool. I know that the frame ones are the more concerning setup. Before we forget, I want to get this filter put on here before I accidentally start dumping oil in there and have it run out. That's the best tip I've seen on YouTube of various mechanic type fellows that do real good mechanic work. I like that a lot. I've heard of some people leaving the ring in here on accident, so this one is good and clear, so I don't have an issue there. I just want to put a little bit of a snug. There we go. The thing that was worrying me most was this front axle, just because of the low fluid, the fact that it lost fluid, I should say, or I don't even know if it lost it. It just seemed like it disappeared awful quick. I still need to drain the other side, so I'm just closing this up so that way I can get to that other side. I'm going to move the pan here. It's always nice to have a good assortment of funnels. Probably should grab a different funnel so I can set it in there better. So far, the most difficult thing for me has been getting the engine oil fill cap off of the valve cover. I don't even know if I could show you it, and it's just in a tough location because of the tractor. But you can see, there we go. Where's it at? I'm trying to look through my cam. There it is, right there. There's a cap. I had to use a pair of pliers to kind of just give me some leverage, and good thing I have funnels because I'm gonna need it. Don't forget to put your drain plugs in though. Definitely need a funnel. See, I've got that one setting in there. I could almost use two funnels, like one to funnel into another funnel. Got my plugs back in, my filter's on. This is gonna be tough. I've never worked on a tractor before. I could see why you might want to take off your loader. I can see that for sure. It'd be very easy to spill. Yes, this is better. Just crawl up in here as best as you can. So I just put in 2.5 gallons so far. It's gonna need more, just to be sure. I'm just looking to see what we got going on. We're down here, so that's a good sign. It's actually registering. That's a real good sign, actually. I didn't expect that. The filter is gonna need to get full. You've gotta get it topped off, and then it's gonna, and then the level is gonna go down again once you run it. That's amazing I didn't spill before. Wish I had a flat location to park to check this. I'm up to the second notch there. I think I'm gonna leave that be for the time being. It's all a learning curve. I've never done any tractor maintenance before like this. Before I forget, I wanna get that cap back on that valve cover. Forgot I got the funnel in here too still. An automobile is much easier, honestly. I actually think the loader helped me there because I was able to stand on it like a ladder or a step stool. Now that I've done that, I need to get some axle lube in there. It is sweaty and humid out here. I can't grab onto anything right now. I'm just gonna reuse this tip on every single one of these so I don't have to cut that. They gave me the wrong oil filter. I thought it didn't feel quite right. It threaded on okay, but the sealing surfaces were different. I wish I would have looked at it a little bit more. That one just had an O-ring, and this one has a flat mating surface, and I should have checked it. So what I need to do is, my Kioti dealership's way far. I'm not gonna mess with that. I'm gonna see if I can get one at like Napa or something, because I need to get this. I started it briefly and saw oil pour out, so then I stopped. That's what I was just checking. It's always good to do that. It's actually, this is the first time I've ever had a hiccup in like an oil change, and I've done quite a few. It's been a lot of years, but I'm really glad I didn't just start it up and walk away. It's really important to do that. So now what I've got to do, I'm not losing oil now. I've just got to go get the right filter. This is the filter that I was given. I'm guessing that's not right. I called Napa. They cross-referenced the filter number out of the manual. This is what was on there. This is what they sold me. That's it right there. I don't like that the gasket's wider on this one than it is here, but I suppose that's probably acceptable because you still got that broad surface area. I'm a little gun shy after what I had happen here. Pretty frustrating. Now that I look at this obviously was never gonna work. The new filter, the old filter, you can see the gasket sitting pronounced. Here's the one that came off the machine. Darn shame, man. Here goes nothing. Round number 2. That feels like it ought to right there. All right. I'm curious how much oil I lost in that whole snafu. We're still registering pretty close to the top. I think I'm gonna real quickly start it, kind of check and see if we've got any leaks, and then and turn it off. I'm just gonna briefly do it and then check my oil and then try to top it off again. That looks a heck of a lot better. I'm anticipating needing to top, I'm gonna have to top it off. We're down to about here, so. Yeah, we're pretty close. I'm gonna top off just a little bit more. Hard to see, it's starting to run down, but we were right at the fill level. Since I've started it up, it ought to not go down anymore, I would think. Don't forget your fill cap. I think we're done at the front of the tractor. While I'm here, may as well just go ahead and replace this. I've got it anyway. We'll see if this filter matches. This is the filter number they gave me. 116. Looks right. Now, before I get started, I need to cross-check the manual with the filters they gave me for the hydraulics, and well, shoot, there's also a fuel filter. Forgot about that one. I think that one might be underneath the hood too. One filter they gave me right here. This is the other filter they gave me. I have good news and bad news. The good news is that the filters match, and the bad news is that while I was gone, a dog came and took a dump right over here. I stepped in it, and I got that taken care of, but now the area just smells fantastic. We're going for a filter right there. We're gonna use this tool and see if it helps. Yeah, it's gonna work just fine, I think. That was doable. Yeah, it stinks really bad. I believe this is the orange filter. Make sure that the surfaces look the same. Everything looks pretty consistent, it looks like. I'm gonna use this to tighten it up a little bit. Okay. So Joe, are you enjoying yourself? Not really, guys. This next one's gonna stink, and it's not because of the smell in the air. Let's see if we can show you here. It's behind that wiring loom. I'm gonna have to get up underneath here, try to spin that off. So I'm gonna grab the filter. I'm gonna try to basically do it all from when I'm under there. I don't wanna have to get in and out a couple times. Boy, it's tight with the backhoe frame on here. Actually, if the tractor fell down with the backhoe on it like this, I would be in big trouble. This filter is definitely the most difficult one to get to, without a doubt. I'm using the strap wrench because I feel like with the proximity to these wiring here, I don't want the other tool near all this where I could possibly pinch it. Yeah, this is a tough filter to get to. This is a real tough filter to get to. Almost would be easier if I took off my the tire. So this strap wrench, yes, it's working. Oh my gosh. Okay, I have to reset this a little bit because what's happened is it's twisting around the top. Okay, I think we're home free now. Whoop, yep. Definitely not the easiest filter I've ever gotten to. This filter's definitely not going back on there. Probably should have. It would have helped had I had the tractor parked the other direction. Then I would have had more room to get underneath the tractor there. Do it on the filter that is right behind the rear wheel. More room the better back there. It's pretty tight. It's really tight actually. I'm gonna try to snug that filter up with this tool here. I feel like there's things you could damage right here. That's really what the hardest part is. Wiring, hydraulics, I think that might be third function stuff. I should be good there. So all my fluids minus the fuel filter has been changed. It's a 30mm plug, and there is the metal shavings on it. No big chunks, just simply fines. The rear is draining pretty quick. I'm not gonna worry about getting every last drop out of it, so that means I'm not gonna let this sit for an hour or something. The fluid came out super quickly. You know, I mean, you're never gonna get it all out. I'm talking like I know something, but anyway, I think it's gonna be okay. It's barely dripping right now. I think it helped with, like, if there's a little bit of a slope, I think everything ran right out of it. So I've got my filters on. Now it's just a matter of filling up the fluid, and it's gonna take over 5 gallons. I don't know what the exact number is. The exact number is kind of irrelevant because you gotta fill it until it's full. So depending upon how much you got out of it and so forth, that's gonna change things. I think we're ready to start dumping some fluid in this thing. Dang. Yeah, there's no way I'm gonna be able to dump that in there. I have an extra one of these. I think I'm just gonna designate this for this. It makes a lot of sense. I shouldn't have to fight with it that way. It fits into the bucket. This isn't gonna be fast, and I don't care if this thing doesn't work again after this. It's amazing. I think every guy ought to have probably 4 or 5 of these things sitting around with some batteries for them. Maybe 3. You know, one for diesel, one for gas, and one for miscellaneous fluids like this. Yep. It's not ripping fast, but I'm not having to fight with it. I'm gonna let it pump until it doesn't seem like it's doing anything else. It sure beats wrestling with it. If this works, this is gonna be tip of the year. I think that there's probably a much easier way. I have a longer funnel, but it's really deep and I'm having a hard time getting it cleaned out. That funnel would probably work better than this red one I had. Or if I would have used 2 funnels or something like that. But anyway, we'll find out if this will work. There's very little left in this tote. Let's see if we register on here at all. Dude, I'm up to the line on almost 5 gallons there. So what that means is I'm gonna start this up, kind of inspect some things, move my hydraulics around, and see what changes. I'm gonna shut her down, check fluids again. Let's see if we've still got engine oil. And then I'm gonna take it for a spin around the block. Okay, yeah, we're full on engine oil, so that's a good sign. I like that. Take a look at that rear hydraulic. You know, it might change a little bit once I drive it, once I get it through the gears. All right, here. Let's go ahead and look at this. Let's see if we are still registering on here. No. Nope, we are not registering on there anymore. So that means we need more fluid. Yeah, we need more fluid. So I'm gonna leave this on the blocks because the unit's pretty flat still. I've got this funnel. Try to get the rest out of this one if I can. That ought to work. And you might ask why I'm not using the pump. Well, it's simply because there's not much left in here. So it'll be hard for it to pick it up. That sucks. Man, the backhoe makes it hard. I need an extension for this. That's what I need. Or a bigger hole to hit. Maybe I can just pour it from up higher. Heck yeah. I think we've got all 5 gallons. Let's see if we register now. I doubt it. Oh, okay, we're back up. So what that means is I need to go drive this for a second, and we need to do it again. Yep. All right, we're back up to the line. That's funny. That was exactly 5 gallons. Really curious to see if the hydraulics are quieter. I want to get out on the asphalt so I can see if there's any leaks a little bit better. See if there's a trail of, ah, dang it. What the heck did I do? I didn't have that on. Let's do that again. Let's see if there's a trail of anything. So far I don't see anything. That's a good sign. It's hard because I didn't clean up everything impeccably. I really need to pressure wash all this off. We got that filter up under there. Like that. Probably shouldn't go this far. Mike, you're right, buddy. It feels good to be done with this. The good news is I don't have a stream of fluid anywhere. I think asphalt's a good place to do this because dirt's hard to see. Got our service date right there, June 6th of 25 with 54 hours on it. This thing is quieter. No doubt. Wow. The drive specifically is quieter. That's pretty cool. I like that. This happened last night during the storm. All right, so how was the change? I'll put some numbers up on the screen as far as how much it cost me. You know, I want to know what you were quoted at your local dealership. I think the big question is here is, do I want to do it again? I do not want to do it again on the dirt and the ground and the side slope. If I was in a shop with a flat ground or something, I think it would be much better. This time there was a big learning curve. I've never worked on a piece of this type of equipment before. Really, the biggest thing is having the right funnels and, you know, enough gloves and all that kind of stuff to make the job a little bit easier. Also, not having a dog poop right next to where you're working would help too. What I have left to do now on this is, now that I've driven it around and so forth, I need to check the fluids again. The engine oil ought to be fine. The front axle's probably going to start registering a little low. My understanding is it does that. The hydraulics, probably now that I've taken it out on the road and driven it, it's probably needs some more in the rear hydraulics as well. But I'm not going to bother showing you all of that. Getting the filters off was not all that bad. I was really worried because, you know, you hear that, you know, they're painted on and they're a bear to get off. You have to make sure that you have very good filter wrenches and options on the filter wrenches. I liked that 3-prong one. And I like that strap one. I would be nervous about that one underneath the rear tire over there, because that was pretty darn tight in a tight location and tight as far as how screwed on it was. The kind that go just over the end would really be optimal on that, to not catch any of the wires or the hydraulics. You know, you're working in a tighter, confined location. After you do your own oil change, I think that cup type deal on the back would work just fine. In fact, it would probably be optimal. I didn't show the fuel filter because honestly, I hadn't really seen anybody do it. You take off that white cap off of it, you're gonna spill a lot, so have a funnel and something to drain it into. And then after that, you basically have another filter you spin off, spin a new one on, you put that plastic thing back in it again. The biggest thing is on diesels, because you effectively have run it out of fuel at that point because the filter's empty. There is a bleeder on these. You have a little valve you can open up and you just pump it, and what happened is all the air started purging out of it and eventually fuel came out. At that point, you close the valve and it started right up, no problem at all. It would definitely, I think, maybe make it, well, I say definitely, but I did utilize the loader and the brush guard as a ladder of sorts to get in and fill the engine oil. If you don't have good agility, this is not exactly the easiest task. The backhoe arms on it, it makes it very tight underneath it. I'm still yet to dismount my backhoe, and now that I'm making this area right here flat and clean, I actually could see myself actually taking the backhoe off now, because I wouldn't be too off camber anywhere. Do I want to do this again? The answer is not really, and the honest truth is I would prefer taking it into the dealership and having them do it and have them check over. Now, this is the thing, is will the dealership do any more than what I did, right? I mean, will they actually go through? I'm not asking for my dealership, but I'm asking for your dealership and whatever's around you. Would the dealership actually go further beyond what you would do as the owner? The hope is you take it in the dealership, you know, they check torques on things like the loader bolts. I've been just hitting them with the impact here and there, making sure that those aren't loose. The big thing is you really need to make sure that you are checking your fluids throughout. And if you're a new Kioti CK2620 or any of them, if you're a new owner, check that front axle like day of delivery, notate, or, you know, make a mental note or something. I would even put it on video or whatever, take a picture, something like that, and then check it regularly, especially if you have any time on it. Mine seemingly, I feel like I did check it, and then seemingly it looked like, you know, it wasn't registering on the dipstick, and I have that on a video earlier, but there was definitely fluid in there. I did dump a few quarts of gear oil in there on top of whatever was in there before. That's just something to be aware of, because they put that hydraulic fluid in it. It just seems like it evacuates the system extremely quickly. I am so excited this is done because, well, I don't know when the next one is, but I hope it's a while. This right here is going to be super helpful for me to get out here and get this cleared up. I'll be able to make cuts on this, move the logs. I think this tree is not going to be solid, so a lot of this will probably just be burnt up out here in a brush pile. Now that we have the grapple, what's going to happen is we're going to start being able to move on things like this. And this is really perfect timing. It's just a darn shame it took out this young pine tree. I did not want that tree hurt. I wanted to take this tree down and was going to try to miss that. But such is life. Thanks for watching the Okie Woodsman channel. We're glad to have you here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button and leave a comment down below. We'll see you on the next one.